My name is Camden, and I am 8 years old. I was diagnosed with a sickness called leukemia, which is a cancer that you cannot catch.
Camden was had just finished his first semester of kindergarten, so he had just turned 6, and he was officially diagnosed December 14th, 2012. So Camden, before he was diagnosed, when he was 5, he loved to run and jump and play. Summer had just ended. We were in flip-flops all the time, and he had to wear socks and shoes every day for school. So that first week of kindergarten, he was complaining a lot about his feet, but we thought maybe it was just from that adjustment. But it didn't end, and he continued to struggle with his pain in his feet. And then in the evenings, we thought maybe it was growing pains. But then he was beginning to lose a lot of sleep with pain in his feet. Yeah, when we were first told that he had leukemia, it was in some ways a relief because we had an answer.
You know, I think the first thing was kind of, for me at least, was a little bit of like shock, just kind of like, are you for real? Like, are you sure that's what it is?
A day before he had the MRI to look at his feet and see what was going on, they were able to see the leukemia. He wasn't even walking, and Pat actually had to carry him. After he was diagnosed, he definitely, he did not want to be on a soccer team. He did not like racing with his brother and sister. He's the oldest, and they always beat him, and that was really hard for him to understand. Why am I slow? Why does it, why is this different? Camden did not like the flavor of the medicine, and we tried all different ways to make it taste good so that he would take it, because he had to take it so often as well. And like the mouth cleaning thing for the sores, I mean, it's not just, oh, you gotta rinse your mouth out. I mean, it's gross. And what 5 or 6 year old wants? Didn't we have to like clean it out with like this little sponge stick?
He had to do a mouthwash like multiple times a day. So just those things, I mean, those things alone were just annoying for him. And then, a parent never wants to have their kid, 1, give them a hard time, or 2, know that they're just going through something hard. And that was day after day after day. And so, those kinds of things and that medication continued for that, that first 8-9 months. And so that made just that whole time period just really, I don't know, just somewhat stressful. And
well, I would even say now, I mean, he still takes pills every day, and we have to, it has to be 2 hours after drinking milk or an hour after food. So we don't want to have to tell him, no, you can't have dessert with the rest of the kids, or you can't, you can't drink that or whatever right now. And so we have to wake him up in the middle of the night to give him his medication. It's the same thing. It's just, it's taxing. I mean, obviously, I don't know how much that's affecting his sleep, but it's just something you don't want to have to do, is wake up your kid every day for 3 years in the middle of the night. And then another, he was sleeping upstairs. He had gained a lot of weight and water retention from taking the steroid. That was a little drastic and dramatic. I mean, sometimes he was just so tired, and sometimes he did have effects from his chemotherapy with, actually it wasn't from the chemo, it was more so after the spinal tap.
So I took like some naps, and they did a little spinal tap, and they put a little thing in my back, and it takes some blood from it.
Upon being diagnosed, he was obviously hospitalized, and for, I believe, 8 days was hospitalized. And that's where they went ahead and did like a bone marrow like biopsy to determine and actually diagnose him. And then they inserted the portacath in his upper chest.
I had the needle thing go in my port a few times, so I got used to it.
So they could access intravenous medication and different things. But he had, kind of around-the-clock medication for those first 8 days. And then they kind of started him on a study based on a lot of other children's medications and how they were treated and how their outcomes were. And so we started on the study, and basically it went, I think it was twice a week for the first couple months
or so. It was very intense.
Yeah, it was very intense, just going in, getting, whether it was a spinal tap, where they actually go in and draw out spinal fluid. I think the doctors and the nurses, I mean, they were great.
Excellent.
Yeah, they're excellent.
I like the nurses and the doctors. Well, one of the nurses gave me an iPad to kind of keep me entertained while I was in bed.
I think too, you know, because he is so young, I don't think he'll really fully comprehend what he went through until later in life. And while he doesn't recognize it, I think he's gaining an experience that will help him later in life overcome other obstacles and things that, and again, he doesn't recognize it right now, but at the same time he knows that he's doing something hard, because we talk to him a lot about that, and we compare that to other things that he has to do, you know, school or whatever. And so because of this experience and our conversations with him, I think he recognizes that, not that he's better than other people, but that he can do hard things, that he can overcome, you know, whatever comes his way. And so on a positive light, I think he sees himself, while he's physically maybe still a little sick and still having to take some medication to kind of rid himself, I think mentally he recognizes that he can be really strong.
So when I came home, I felt really happy that everything was normal. I didn't have any bad pains in my feet or anything.
He happened to be low risk. And then they even go so far as to test at the genetic level to determine how well you will respond to the medication. And after doing some testing, he came out on the good end. So
with great genes.
Good genes.
So from the beginning, he's had a 98% chance
cure rate. He happened to be low risk. And then they even go so far as to test at the genetic level to determine how well you will respond to the medication. And after doing some testing, he came out on the good end. So
with great genes.
Good genes.
So from the beginning, he's had a 98% chance cure rate.
So when I first got there, I didn't really know what was going on. And then like 2 days later, I figured out.
So with leukemia, there's more types and severity, I guess, of it. So his was what they call ALL, or acute lymphocytic leukemia. And within that, you can either be low risk, high risk, or just a standard risk.
And even after he finishes his chemotherapy in February, he still has to go, it starts off every month for a year, just for the lab work. And then the year after that, it goes down to every other month, and then every 4 months. So he still will have to go in quite a bit, but it's just for lab work, just to check up. So